Good morning everyone and welcome back to Sendik's Weather Channel. Today we're going to take a look at the latest from the models for the next couple of weeks. And I just want to let you all know that it will be live at 7 tonight. How's everyone doing? Right, well, anyway, we're going to get on with the charts today. We're going to be having a look at the UK Metafis run first. This is the latest run, which goes out to about 5 days, so to the middle of next week, so about 12th of March. We'll have a look, see if it's showing anything interesting, because as we all know, it's pretty mild at the moment. Bit wet in places, especially in central and western regions, but it is clearly moving away and or dissipating, I should say, as it moves northwards. And we're going to go drier again before colder air begins to sink southwards next week. So there's a bit of precipitation around, but it's quite patchy and light, but it does intensify as it moves into Scotland through the early hours of Saturday morning in the north. Most places quite dry through Saturday and Sunday with a lot of cloud around. Then by Monday, we have a transition to cold conditions. There is a preceding weather front which marks the boundary between colder air masses and milder air masses, and as that clears through, could produce some snow over the higher ground, marking the boundary. As behind that, the winds are in from the north or northeast, and we see patchy and quite heavy snow showers packing into northern Scotland. And even into eastern regions, although this is mixing with rain because the air mass is touch and go with the time of year that we're in. And of course, when you're on the coast, you have them slightly milder sea temperatures bringing up the upper air temperatures, and that limits the snow risk. Also, there's a bit of uncertainty with the exact air mass again, which they'll experience. So with this run, the -4 line, that's definitely not enough to see any snow showers, particularly besides over hills, especially at the time of year that we're in now. If we go to the 3 a.m. run, or the 3 p.m. run, I should say, from yesterday, you can see that the upper airs are -6, -7, which is conducive of wintry showers, but -4 is not really cutting it, especially at this time of year. And the temperatures, max temperatures, if we go to Tuesday in the afternoon, they are below average, but they're not exceptionally so, 6, 7 or 8 degrees, but it definitely will have a chill to it, but we've got to remember the time of year that we're in. Obviously, Scotland's still in the freezer, with the mine below 0, and in northern England as well, 1s, 2s or 3s. But further south and east, 7s, 8s, even in a cold air mass. But it's not particularly cold or bad, but it could be as we go on. Now we'll move on with this, and we're going to show you the AO forecast. This is the AO one. This is what it's forecast for the next couple of weeks. Remember, if it's neutral, it's not favouring any sort of pattern. If it's negative or weakly negative, then it's favouring blocking or colder patterns, or if it's positive, it's favouring milder patterns. So we're going into a negative phase at the moment, indicative of going into colder conditions, but then the return to more average, slightly above, but there is a lot of scatter with some runs bringing down negative AO conditions. But it is very mixed, it's very uncertain, but it looks like it will turn positive, at least for a time, but very weakly positive. With the NEO, however, it was going to go positive, or it was favoured to go positive yesterday at the end of the run, around the 17th, 18th of March, but now with the GFS forecasts, they are keeping it slightly below the 0 line, which means that we could see blocking persist for a little bit longer. This is the North Atlantic one, this is the one where it goes up towards Greenland and Iceland, and as you can see, it's going negative in the next couple of days. It's expected to stay there for at least a week. Now we'll move on then with the charts, and we'll go to the GFS forecast. Here we go. We'll go to that one, and then we move it. There we go. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. And remember, yes, we are live at 7 with the latest. So tune in if you want to see more from this guy. But anyway, so we've got, for the next few days, up to the week, through the weekend, looks pretty pleasant, especially in the south and the east, with winds in from the east or southeast, and that low pressure's sat over Spain and Portugal, and we're bringing the wind from a pretty mild direction. However, quickly we flip the winds, swap the winds to a north-northeasterly as high pressure builds out in the Atlantic, beginning to sink colder air southwards with the GFS. This is the GFS run. That high pressure sat out in the Atlantic. Winds in from the east-northeast, turns more easterly as we go on with the GFS as that high topples in the Atlantic, and turns into an easterly wind as we go through into the end of next week. Before, again, with the GFS, breaks that cold spell down pretty quick, so that's why uncertainty is in the title, because there's a little bit of uncertainty with how the cold spell, how long it lasts, the longevity, this high pressure, how quickly it sinks southwards, and the overall patterns, really. The synoptic patterns. In the longer term, though, the GFS builds heights to our south and east, bringing in a very mild southerly wind, so that might be spring returning there by the 20th of March, bringing in southerly winds, but then low pressure rattles in from off the Atlantic and turns more unsettled. Conditions return. If we have a look at the GFS run, and I'll just show you this. If we look at the GFS midnight run, this is the precipitation type. You can see there's that cold front there, sinking southwards, dissipates away, and then we go into north-northeasterly winds. Now with the GFS, the air masses are colder, so it actually does bring in quite patchy and, some heavy snow showers into the east and northeast, and emphasises the risk of showers drifting inland. Looks quite widespread there, but again, very light precipitation, and there's some rain in the east where the temperatures are slightly milder. But continuous snow showers possible in the east and southeast. Again, need to know the exact developments, and little short waves and little troughs and features could develop at short notice, which are hard to forecast. Anyway, let's move on to the GEM next, which is, again, very similar. High pressure moves out in the Atlantic. A bit further west, allowing probably more snow showers to move in from the east or northeast. And they're more likely to fall as snow overnight in the overnight hours, especially to lower ground, if you're wanting that. Little trough there going into France, that could produce little or enhanced precipitation risk in the far southeast. Keeps that easterly wind in, but that high pressure again topples, so a bit of a change from the models today. But it keeps the -5 line in for the far southeast up to the 15th, and then turns milder with winds returning to the southwest. But again, there is signs of high pressure in the Atlantic, building out in the Atlantic, sending the jet stream southwards again, and it could turn colder very easily in that sort of pattern. Then we've got the ECMWF, which has been the more optimistic model. However, today it develops this low in the Atlantic, just out in the North Sea, I should say, and that actually brings slightly milder conditions. This is the risk. It could enhance precipitation risk, but it could all be rain with this. Little lows and little troughs. Looks like a very unsettled, unstable northeasterly. The wind switches more easterly as we go on, which may introduce less cold air by the 13th and 14th, but at this point it's still pretty cold, with the -5 line covering the northern half of the country. That dissipates away quite quickly, and then we turn milder with winds in from the south-southeast there, and then it turns more westerly towards the end of the run. So if we have a look at the ECM Ensemble, these are the options on the table for day 10, the 17th of March. We have 18 with high pressure in the Atlantic up towards Greenland. Low pressures to our east. Winds are in from a cold north-northeasterly wind. Cold and possibly wintry. 13 of high pressure between Greenland and Iceland. Bringing the wind round from an east-northeast. That's difficult to forecast whether that would be mild or cold considering the time of year. 11 of high pressure towards Scandinavia. Winds are in from the east. Again, hard to forecast. And then 9 with high pressure to our north and east. That looks more like a good easterly. That's stronger, so that could be colder. These two are uncertain because of the time of year that we're in. Because spring is the most easterly season, so it is hard to forecast. Now out to the 22nd, we've got high pressure over Scandinavia, winds in from the east. That one probably is a bit cold. 15 with high pressure blocking up towards Greenland, Iceland and Scandinavia, proper northern blocking, and winds are in from the east-northeast. 9 of high pressure in the Atlantic, that could bring in the wind from the northwest, but around the high, so it could actually bring in milder air. And 7 with high pressure in the Atlantic, but deep area of low pressure over the top of the country, very unsettled, and probably a bit of cold zonality as well in the unsettled form. Now, if we have a look at the ensembles with the ECM WF, firstly, and I'm going to go to London, then you can see that the ECM ensembles are favouring the longevity of a cold spell, keeping it to around the 18th of March today. Big change from yesterday's runs, as you can see here, extending it out a bit further, and it looks a bit colder as well. More options going much colder. And then the ECM operational run is a mild outlier at this stage. But this is a change to the GFS, because look at the GFS. It's there, but it's not quite. It is getting down to the -5 line, but it's not as bullish as the ECM. See, it's bringing slightly milder conditions by around the 17th of March. Still below average, of course. If we go to Birmingham, it actually looks a bit milder because the colder air might stick in the south a little bit longer. Depends on the exact pattern. So we'll keep you posted, and we'll have a look at the snow row. There's a few snow spikes appearing there for Birmingham, and we'll have a look at London as well. There's a few around between the 11th and 14th of March as that cold air moves in. London, there's a couple there, but I won't get your hopes up. For me, a bit further northwards, there's quite a few appearing, so I'm pretty happy about that one. Anyway, so it is going to turn colder, and make the most of the mild weather for now, because it is pretty pleasant. 9 o'clock I'm recording this, and it's 11 degrees. Woo! So anyway, modelling uncertainty, I'll keep you posted. Tune in at 7 o'clock, and we'll go through everything. Thank you all very much for tuning in to today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.